Insects are incredible. Without them, nothing would exist on this planet. Like, they're part of the little miraculous creatures that make this world go round. So I love this cerebral sort of thought process to be able to change the perception from insects as the pests to edible insects, something that's sustainably farmed or harvested specifically for human consumption. If we take crickets as one example, they have all 9 essential amino acids. They also are 50 to 80% protein by weight. They have vitamin B12 and minerals, low in fat and low in carbs. So they are a really incredible nutrient-dense source of food. Insects have such wildly different and crazy flavors. Like, they could be anything from nutty to earthy to mushroomy to citrusy to coconutty, fatty and unctuous to smoky. And what we're also seeing is that because they have such small gastrointestinal tracts and they're much simpler creatures than mammals and the larger animals, the scientists that we're working with right now, they're able to change the nutritional profile and add more omega-3 than omega-6 by what they feed it. They can even add vitamin D by shining a UV light on the mealworms, for example. I heard that chicken parme is kind of a big thing here. So what we made here is a cricket-crusted eggplant parme. A lot of times people expect insects to taste bad, and a very common reaction that people have, it tastes like food. Voila. It's a thing of magic, of wizardry. And so just being a part of changing the way that people think about it through the experience just brings me such great joy to be able to share this sort of work. So this ragu has cricket powder in it as well. And so it affects the flavor, and also on top of it, it also affects the nutrition. It improves the nutrition. And I love that if you want, you can top this off with crickets if you really want to kind of see it. And if you don't, you don't have to. There's no like right or wrong way. I love mixing all sorts of insects together. And I think that these mealworms will go perfectly on top of the parme. The most commonly eaten edible insect around the world is the beetle or the beetle larvae. Some of the other insects that I love to eat, black ants have formic acid as a defense mechanism. That gives it like this citrusy sort of flavor that's also a little fermented, almost like, dare I say, Vegemite, but not quite that fermented. I also have scorpions that are really fascinating. They're arthropods, just like our shellfish. Shrimp, crab, lobster, they're all in the same phylum of arthropods. So we're already kind of eating sea bugs, and it's just a matter of like kind of thinking a little differently about their land relatives and considering to eat them as well. These are delightful cricket gougères, like French cheese puffs with cricket powder in them. And so if you want to be extra fun, of course, you can add some bugginess to the dish so that you can see it and also give it a little taste. One of the great motivations for me to work with edible insects is because of its potential to address food security and the importance that we place on small farmers and small stakeholders who produce so much of the food that we eat around the world, but are the first to suffer the most because of the effects of climate change. As an homage to Australia, how about we have some blackened pavlova? And so the more we're able to put an emphasis on the importance of small farmers and stakeholders, to be able to help them, to be able to create food systems that can address food security and be able to provide food in all areas of the world, that's of like tremendous inspiration and motivation for me to be a part of trying to create solutions around that. And I would say this is more of a meringue, to be honest with you, than a pavlova. The pavlova has that just masterful, beautiful marshmallowy center.
There are over 2 billion people in over 80% of the world's nations that already regularly consume insects. I think that with Australia's help, if you guys are like, oh, this is a really delicious, mate, we could make buggy Tim Tams and buggy burgers. You don't even have to see it if you don't want. And if we're able to show how we have further evolved, how we're able to eat it, to make it in recognizable foods or something, I really believe that edible insects has been, but will be, in the next 5 years, I'm gonna say, we're gonna be seeing a lot more of it at grocery stores and restaurants.
I don't mind a little.